Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Moving into our second segment here, which is going to be talking about the Blue Jays and some trade rumors involving them. Now, before we do that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show again. So, we're talking about our second segment here, which is going to be about some Blue Jays rumors involving them. Before we do that, though, I'd like to answer another question from our comments. Keep them rolling. I love to answer them. It says, should the Mets trade Luis Angel Acuna for Chris Bassitt? Now, Luis Angel Acuna is one of the Mets' top prospects. And now, personally, as a Mets fan, I'm not very high on Acuna. I don't really think he has the hitting tool to last as a plus MLB player. But I also don't think if you're going to trade him, Chris Bassitt is the guy. Bassitt is okay, but nothing too fantastic. I mean, it'd be nice to bring him back to Queens. He had a great season here, but his contract's pretty large, and Acuna still has value around the league, and I think selling him for an older starting pitcher on a big contract would be underselling it a little bit. Again, I'm not too high on Acuna, but I'd at least like to see what happens in the MLB. At least give him some credit. I mean, I'm fine with trading him, but I just don't think for Bassitt is the right decision. But overall, now moving back to the Blue Jays. So there has been a lot of news around them for the past 24 hours or so. I'd say overall just a little, not for probably more than 24 hours actually, I'd say just for a little bit now. So first off, we had some Vladimir Guerrero Jr. comments from, I believe it was a few days ago. He was in an interview and they asked him, a long time ago, a few years ago, you said that if the one team you would never sign with is the New York Yankees, no matter what, you would retire before you sign with the Yankees. And they asked him, is that still true? And Guerrero responded, baseball is a business. If someone trades for me, I will play for them and give them all I got, something around those lines. And that is a very interesting comment switch. Now, usually I wouldn't think much of that, but Guerrero's been involved in a lot of trade rumors recently. The Yankees need a first baseman, and it's kind of interesting to see him change paths on his comment right now, considering the situation the Blue Jays are in, where we know they're listening to some talks on Guerrero. We know there are some rumors about him. So, yeah, it is a very interesting situation here. Someone just, I believe, subscribed on Twitch, so thank you so much for that. Thank you. But it is very interesting that this is the time that Guerrero decided to walk back his comments about the Yankees, again, in the situation the Yankees are. So I did want to talk about that. And also then Ken Rosenthal had a big article today about the Toronto Blue Jays and just about them, about their franchise, why they have been so underwhelming this year, and I did want to talk about that as well. So yeah, first going to the Blue Jays right now, I mean, to say it's been an underwhelming season would probably be a little bit underselling right now what is going on with them. I mean, you look at the standings right now for the Blue Jays in the AL East. They are currently in last place by 3 games. I mean, you look at the wild card right now, they're not even close. They're 6.5 back. The only teams they're above are the Angels, A's, and White Sox. That's bad. Those teams are really, really bad. Those are the teams I always put at the bottom part of my power rankings. So definitely not fun right now if you're a Blue Jays fan. A lot of things not going right. And, he's Buffer, I believe your name is pronounced. You said in the comments, should they trade Chris Bassitt? I think that's an interesting situation we have to think about. Are they going to start trading players? And right now, if I'm the Blue Jays, I've said this before in the show, I believe, but to take it further, I'm blowing this team up. To be perfectly frank with you, I think it's time for a change in Toronto. I don't think this core is winning anything. I think that it's time to either have a big retool and trade one of your big players like a Guerrero, or trade Guerrero and just blow everything up with it. Trade guys like Chris Bassitt, like Jose Barrios, like Kevin Gausman, like Jordan Romano, Danny Jansen, Yusei Kikuchi, Yimi Garcia. These are just guys coming off the top of my head. Bo Bichette. So it is interesting to see what they are going to do. That is personally what I would do. But right now, it's not going right for the Blue Jays. I mean, you look at this team and you think, okay, well, what's going wrong? And really for me, I think it's just both the offense and the pitching. I mean, that sounds very general, but, your best hitter right now is Guerrero, of course, who's done great. But after that, there's really not much else that is standing out. George Springer's been a disaster. Bo Bichette's been a disaster. Dalton Varsho's been fine. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa's been fine. David Schneider's been good. Justin Turner's been fine. Danny Jansen's been fine. A lot of fine players. Just no one that is outstanding other than Guerrero. And I think when you're looking at this lineup, I think that you need another superstar. I would classify Guerrero as a superstar at this point with how well he's done. And, I think that was one of the big reasons why the Blue Jays tried so hard to get Ohtani and Soto in the offseason. We know very publicly about how they tried to get both of those players, and they were unsuccessful in getting both, obviously. And I think both would have been great fits in the way that the Blue Jays are right now missing a franchise star. Guerrero is great, but I don't think he's up to the level of a Soto or Ohtani, of course. And getting one of those guys would have added you a guy to build this team around, show people that you're serious and you're serious about winning. And I just think both would have been amazing fits right now. And not being able to get them, I think, really is affecting this team. I think there's a lot of mediocrity on this Blue Jays roster all about, and I think that's one of the big reasons why they are failing. I mean, just again, other than Guerrero, there's really no big bat. You were banking on Justin Turner, George Springer, Bo Bichette, guys like that to be better than they have been, and I think Bichette was a good one to bank on, but Springer, I don't think at this point in his career, I don't think Justin Turner was a good bet, and yeah, it's just not great right now if you are a Blue Jays fan and things are not going well. Overall, I think there are a few motives they could go here. One, go all in and trade for someone big like Elise Robert and kind of deny the fact that this core isn't going to win anything. That's one option. Another one is have a slight retool and gear up with prospects and money for the offseason. Trade guys like a Chris Bassett, a Kevin Gausman, a Jordan Romano, Yimi Garcia, Danny Jansen, Yusei Kikuchi, guys who are older on bigger contracts and aren't under long-term control really, and then build around your younger guys like a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Maybe even a Bo Bichette if you still believe in him. Not sure if you should, but I think that's really the options the Blue Jays have here. Or you can blow it up and trade all those guys I just said. Trade Guerrero, trade Bichette, try to offload Springer somehow, get what you can back for Justin Turner. And I think that's what I would do here. I just think, again, this organization and roster is just filled to the brim with mediocre players and players who aren't exactly guys that are going to be difference makers. I mean, I don't know if I trade Guerrero, but at the same time, again, I just don't like this team. I don't like how this roster is constructed, and overall, I think there's a ton of flaws here that the Blue Jays have not been recognizing these past few years. Now, specifically for Guerrero, again, it was interesting that he walked back those common bats to the Yankees, and I want to talk about his trade rumors for a second. Again, the Blue Jays, if they trade him, they could get a ton back, a really good prospect haul. And if they don't trade him, yes, he's someone to build around. So either way, they have a big decision to make with him. I don't know if they're going to trade him at this deadline, trade him in the offseason. They'll figure it out. But you have 2.5 years left of control on Guerrero, either 2.5 or 1.5. And that's a good amount of time. That's if you're a team that needs a big power bat, a DH first baseman type, get Guerrero. I mean, offer a lot for him. Now, there's been a lot of teams mentioned with him. Of course, the Yankees we have to mention because of the comments he made and because they need a first baseman. To be perfectly honest, I don't think that there's any chance ever that Guerrero is getting traded to the Yankees, even with the Yankees having the prospects to get him, even with them being a great fit. I just don't think the Blue Jays would trade their best player to a division rival of the Yankees as well. This is not like the Mariners and Angels or something. No, this is the Yankees and Blue Jays. This is not something I think they're going to do. It's not smart for business. I don't think it's a great idea. But to be fair as well, I never thought Mikal Bridges would be traded from the Nets to the Knicks. So I don't know anymore about rivalries, quote unquote, in sports. So overall, it'll be very interesting to watch. But other than that, I think there are some other teams. The Astros have been brought up in recent days about him. I think that would make some sense if they want to get a power hitting first baseman. Of course, just release Jose Abreu, so first base is definitely a need. Not exactly sure that they have the prospects to acquire that, and I think also they should be focusing more on pitching, but it's a fit. Also, the Mariners have been mentioned a lot. I think they're a perfect fit with Guerrero. If Guerrero or Luis Robert are very realistic for you, I think you have to get one. If I'm the Mariners, I'm going all in this year. I think they can really make a big push with the pitching they have, and the AL being kind of weak outside of the Orioles and the Yankees. Also, there are some other teams, of course, that I think would make a ton of sense for Guerrero. You can also talk about, the Cubs. They've been mentioned a lot with Guerrero in the past few years. They have the prospects to get it done. Power hitting first baseman. He's been mentioned the Cubs a lot, now that I think about it, in the past few years. So I think that overall, Guerrero being traded would be an interesting thing to do for the Blue Jays. It would be an interesting way to conduct your franchise right now, and I would be very, very intrigued to see what they do next after that, see what prospects they can get. But if they don't trade him, I think a small reset could be good. Trading guys on 1 to 2 year contracts like Gausman, like Bassett, like Yusei Kikuchi, like Yimi Garcia, like Danny Jansen. guys who are good but aren't long-term pieces. I think Gosman would be the biggest piece out of all that. I would usually mention George Springer, but I think no one is going to take that Springer contract right now. He's just turned into a disaster with them. I mean, I think the Mets and the Red Sox have to be thanking themselves that they did not sign that contract a few off seasons ago. So, yeah, overall, the Blue Jays are in for a very, very interesting next couple of months heading into the trade deadline on July 31st. I am very interested to see what is going to happen with this team and very excited to see what the future holds for them. I think there's a lot of decisions to be made up there in the 6th, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do end up choosing and what direction they do go with this franchise. So, yeah, that is our second segment here, talking about the Blue Jays and some rumors involving them. We'll be moving into our third segment here, which is going to be talking about David Festa and the Twins calling him up, one of the top pitching prospects of baseball. So we'll be going over that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college,